welcome to our Wednesday Pilates Yoga Fusion class. Hopefully there'll be a little less drama. With today's class, we'll find out. In any case, we're gonna start lying down. I'm gonna do this little chest opening move. So I'm gonna use a pillow to kind of open up and lift my chest so that my arms will relax around a bit. You could do something similar with a couple of yoga blocks if you've got that. Or you can use like a throw pillow, maybe two, one for your head and one for your back. Or if you've got kind of a longer, skinnier throw pillow, that would work really nicely. Or you can use a rolled up blanket. So I'm gonna use this guy. And if it's a block, you wanna make sure the block is high enough up your upper back that it's not causing, that it doesn't go below the bottom of the shoulder blades, so it should be pretty high up there. With the pillow, it's a little more forgiving. The blanket is very forgiving, comparatively speaking, so that one can come down your back a little farther. So once you've gotten yourself sort of set in, and I've got my legs straight, but I could put the feet together or put the feet on the floor with the knees up. That would also be nice. So the most important thing for me is just once I'm in position, am I so uncomfortable that I start to tense up, or can I kind of relax a little bit, especially across the chest, kind of through my face? We're going to stay for about another 30 seconds, and just make sure that if you haven't already been doing this, that you're doing breaths that are deep enough to kind of flare your rib cage out a little bit for this last little bit. So we can kind of get a little movement in between the ribs. One more nice big breath. And then we'll take the object out from underneath by either kind of roll it to the side, or you could, if it's a blanket, it might just slip right out. All right, so then kind of see where it landed you and notice whether that was a good idea or not. So for me, often this just creates this kind of sense of lightness, openness, brightness across the chest and upper back that I really appreciate. I'm going to take my feet out kind of on the wide side and then windshield wiper one at a time in and out. Now if that doesn't work for you, don't worry about doing it, but if you like it, do a couple more, and then we'll come back to that center point. So just bringing the feet back in, we're going to take the left ankle up on top of the right thigh and bring the hands behind the head. So we're going to start with just a curl up down the center. We're going to try to really fire up the abdominal muscles, especially these abs on the kind of upper top of the abdominals. but we're going to try not to pull on the neck. So you're going to press your head back into your hands, nice and firm. Nice inhale, exhale, curl up. So you don't have to curl your shoulder blades really high up off the mat. You're just trying to feel those abdominals engage. If they come up a little higher, that's fine too. Curling up. Curling up. So we're just working with the breath and trying to keep the neck nice and steady. So we're sort of memorizing this feeling of the neck being stable and the abs doing the work. One more time like that. Good. So now we're going to take this right elbow over towards that left knee. So curling up and coming back. Curling up, coming back, keep pressing the head back. Now you can continue 3 more like that, or you can float your legs and curl the knee in towards the elbow a bit as you turn. And last one. All right, so then we're going to let that right leg settle. You can let go of your head. You're going to take this left leg and grab hold of it, and then spin your left foot in little circles. We go the other direction. And then point and flex. Get your toes a little spread and a little squish while you're at it. All right, so the heel is going to push away. We're going to see if we can get that leg to go more or less all the way straight. And you could let go of your leg or not straighten it out so much, whichever's going to work best for your hamstrings. All right, now holding that leg where it is, we're going to try to stretch that right leg out and really try to stretch all the way through the front of that right hip. So keeping the legs like this, we're going to take this right elbow, curl it up towards that left side. I might decide I'm going to float this right leg so it's a little more challenging. Keep reaching out. Curl up to the left. Curl up to the left. We're going to do 4 more. I think we got 1 more to go. It's possible I did a bonus round, but that would be all right too. And then we're going to take this right leg, secure it to the ground. Get your hands nice and firm beside you. Squeeze in through the sides of your waist. And then we'll draw a nice big circle. I need to turn a little diagonally to make this work. But take the leg across and circle it out and around. Across, out and around. Try to hold your torso nice and stable. Feel yourself squeeze in through the sides of the waist. Hold that hip nice and steady. Try to keep your right leg turned on just a little bit. When you get to the top, pause. We're going to take the leg out to the side, bring the legs together, and then come straight up the middle. Try to hold that hip nice and steady with the abdominal muscles coming in through the side waist. 2 more. All right, bring that foot in, bring the right one in, and then pause there for a moment. See if there's any perceivable difference between the right side and the left side. So we're going to take the right ankle, bring that guy up on top. Bring the hands behind the head again. We're just warming up the abdominals, kind of practicing this, pressing the head back into the hands. Curling up. One more time. So then we're bringing the left elbow towards that right knee. Now you can continue or float the legs. going to take the leg back down. We're going to take this left or right leg, give it a hug, spin the foot in circles. Go the other direction. And then point and flex. Okay. So then we're going to try to kick that heel away. Maybe we get the leg straight, maybe not. See where the hamstring stretch takes us. Alright, so then we're going to stretch this left leg all the way out. Bring in the hands behind the head. Again, we're going to try to take this left elbow up towards the right knee. And again, you could hover that leg on the left as well. Curling in. Two more. And come back to the center. You can let go of your head, plant your hands beside you. Turn that left leg on. So again, the toes point up, the foot is flexed. There's a little bit of a sense that we're lengthening through the front of the hip. Right leg comes across, does the circle out and around, and we're using the abdominals to hold the steady. All right, when you get to the top this next time, we're going to pause right there. The leg goes out to the side, sweeps together, comes straight up the center. Really hug in as you bring that leg out to the side. Hold that hip steady. Two more. And then again, once we've come to the center, we'll bring that foot down and then the opposite foot together with it. And then just pause for a moment. And sense the body kind of relaxing into that shape. And is there a difference in the way it feels? So we're going to curl ourselves in. Bring in the knees in, bring in the upper body in. Now you can leave your hands behind your head, or you can reach down towards your heels. We're going to extend the arms and legs and then come back. And the goal is to hold the torso in the same amount of curl without pulling unduly with the neck, okay? So if you are still working on the neck, definitely use your hands. You can even just extend the legs for the extra work, or you can extend the legs and the arms, and then just bring the hands back to your head so you can give yourself that moment to release the neck muscles if they're overly trying to do the work. So extending out and bringing it back together. Try to hold your low back nice and steady by really drawing in through the abdominals. Last time. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to bring ourselves to the a seated position through the roll up. So we'll do the roll up about 6 times or so, 7 times from start to finish. If you would like to, you can follow along with me, where I'm going to divide it into 2 halves. So if the roll up moves really smoothly, fine. But if you find yourself having to almost like throw yourself forward, do it in halves. So we'll curl up as much as we can and then come back down. And again, trying to kind of resist this urge to overuse the neck. So 2 more of those. We'll just feel ourselves fire up through the abdominals. And then we're going to come up to sitting. Now when you get to the seated part, sit up nice and tall, fold over the legs, come back, and then you're going to curl back as far as you can go without losing control. Come back up, fold over the legs, sit up nice and tall, and then curl back and roll. And so the theory is that we won't use the hip flexors more than we need to hold us in a position like that one. Instead, we'll target more of the abdominals. So 2 more of those. Sit up tall, then curl back. Sit up tall, then fold forward. Good. Nice and tall, curl back. Nice and tall, fold forward. Now, we're going to all wind up here together. Lift the breastbone up and out. The feet might be there for handles, they might not. So stretch the toes apart a little bit, toes pointing up, knees slightly bent. Lengthen yourself out over the legs. See if you can keep that sense that your spine is nice and long rather than rounding. 1 more breath there. We're going to let go of everything, come all the way back up, and we'll come up to all fours. Now, you can take a few moments and do some little cat shapes. I think those feel really good. Do a little sidewinder shapes. We're going to take the right leg back behind us, reach the left arm out in front. Stretch between those 2 points, draw in through the sides of the waist. As you exhale, we'll bring the knee and the elbow towards each other, curl in, stretch out, bring them in, stretch out, bring them in, stretch out. We're going to do 1 more curl in. Stretch out, then let your left hand come down, bring your right leg all the way forward. So we'll come into a lunge. Stay low with your hands to begin with. And bring the hip forward. And then back it off almost to the point where you are in a hamstring stretch. And then come forward. Back it off almost to the hamstring stretch. And then come forward 1 more time. Now we're going to find a spot that feels reasonable. And then we're going to bring ourselves to a bit of a back bend. Now you can put your arms up overhead if you like, or wrap them behind your back. Just kind of creating that sense of a back bend on that side. You might have to back off the hip a little bit so it's not too much. Do your best, yogis. Take in 1 more breath. And then we are going to take ourselves back with the hips, folding straight over the leg. And for me, this becomes a story or a song about my outer hamstrings here on the outside edge. And then I'm going to take myself to a diagonal. And as I reach out and fold kind of towards this diagonal, now I feel this more on the inside edge of my hamstrings. Both. One of those doesn't work for you, don't do that part. Now we're going to turn this into a gate pose by bringing this foot around so we're kind of a little more on the sideways, so we're kind of facing that diagonal, and then we'll side bend out over this straight right leg. Can be a little bit wobbly, especially if you've got your eyes closed. Take in 2 more breaths. way back. Put both hands on the floor. Stretch that right leg back. Whoops. Try not to kick your plant while you give it a bit of a shake. And then we'll come back to an all fours position. Now you could do a child's pose instead. Or you can do a couple more rounds of cats. Alright, so then that left leg is going to go back and the right arm. We're going to stretch between those 2 points and draw in through the sides of the waist. One more breath right there. And then as we exhale, curl in and stretch out. And curl in and stretch out. And curl in and stretch out. We're going to do it one more time. Curl it in. Whoop. Stretch it out. And then we're going to take this left leg forward and we'll come into our lunge. Again, staying a little on the low side and moving the hips forward. And then moving the hips back just before we get to that hamstring stretch. And just trying to find the edge of that hip stretch there. Okay, so we're going to go back one more time. And then we're going to find the hip stretch that feels like it's the right amount. And we'll come all the way up. You might have to readjust. So we'll take that little back bending shape again. One more big breath. And then we're going to take ourselves over the top of this leg, so as close as you can get to being right on top of it. And again, notice for you, does that mostly fire up your outer hamstrings? Do you feel it across the whole thing? And then we're kind of moving towards the diagonal here. Again, for me, that makes a shift happen. One more breath here, and then we're going to kind of pick this foot up and just turn on the diagonal there, coming up. And if you can put your foot down a little bit more, leave your toes in the air depending on how it feels and how wobbly it is. We're going to bend sideways. I'm not putting any pressure on my knee here, just the little fingertips are resting as I side bend out over this left leg. One more breath. And then we're going to come up. We're going to bring ourselves forward, bring that leg back, give it a little shake. And then you can come back to all fours, come back to child's pose for a couple of breaths. And then if you're up for it, take some downward facing dog. And once you get to your dog, you can move your shoulders a little bit. Try to kind of find the happiest place for your shoulders to live on your back. And then walk the feet in place. Give the hips a little shimmy. Whatever seems like a good idea. And then when you're ready, you'll just walk yourself together into a forward bending shape. Give yourself a nice big breath. Come up halfway. Now bend your knees as much as you need to so that there's no pressure there at all. Your chest kind of rests on your thighs. And give your head or your wrists or both little bit of a shake. And then we're going to inhale and come up about halfway so the back flattens out. Feel the difference. You might even be able to straighten the legs all the way out. And then bend at the knee, fold back over, give everything a little bit of a rinse. And then we're coming all the way up to standing. Give it a big stretch and a big breath. All right, yogis. So you'll find yourself in a mountain pose. Point your toes forward if you can, without causing any trouble for your hips. And then let the knees relax just slightly. Spread the toes out. And let your tailbone grow just a little heavy, but let the shoulders relax. And make sure you're not poking your ribs too far forward, and just nice and tall. You're going to take a nice big breath, reach the right arm up, avoiding anything you've got in your house that might be problematic. Bending a little to the left. Coming back up, sending that right arm down, bending the body over to the right with the left arm reaching. And then coming back to the center, two arms reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Come up halfway, lengthen out. Exhale, fold. So we're going to step back into down dog. Some of us might choose to stay there. Some people will come forward into a plank. You can do a full plank. You can do a 3-point plank for extra work. Or you can do a modified plank if your low back is tricky with plank. So holding it steady here, drawing in through the navel, in through the sides of the waist. 2 more breaths. And with control, we're going to lower down with that exhale, coming into a cobra or an upward facing dog. And then coming back to downward facing dog. Take a nice big breath, lift your left leg up behind you, hook it over your back a bit if you can, and then spin your foot. Sink into the right heel if it's allowed. Take that left leg, bring it back down beside your right foot. Take your right foot up, give it a little hook. Send your left heel down, maybe spin that right foot. And then we're going to take that right foot and step it forward some amount. Now, if you can get it all the way up to the top of your mat, great. But if you don't worry about it. Just shift your weight into it. And we're going to turn that left foot so it brings us up into Warrior 2. And when you get here, if you have to make adjustments, make adjustments. Make sure that your right hip is not pulling your left or your right leg out of alignment, but is lined up so that that inner thigh will hold strong. And then adjust your left hip to make everybody happy. Come on back to reverse warrior. And then we'll come over for a side angle. We're going to really stretch through that. And then reverse. And side angle. And reverse. And side angle, kind of giving this little mermaid action. All of its lengthening out due. So one more time. And when we get to side angle, just pause for a moment and really give yourself permission to stretch into that shape. You can do variations on the shape. You don't have to just rest your elbow on your thigh. And then we're going to stretch out this front leg and come into this triangle shape. You can look up and extend the arm or bind the arm. You can look down if you prefer and do one of those 2 positions with the arm. One more big breath. Now we're going to bend this knee, reach the hand out in front of you. If you've got a block, you can use a block. You can just put your hand on the floor. We're going to shift the weight into the right leg and pick the left leg up, hopefully without causing any undue damage to furnishings or other things. Hello, my friends. Stretch out through that pose if you can. Take in one more big breath. Now we're going to bring this left knee in and then put it right down beside your right foot. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Come in all the way up to standing, giving it a big stretch. And then come in to our mountain pose. Noticing how that's landing us. Might feel a little bit different than the last time we were here. Reach the left arm up, give yourself a little stretch over to the right. Coming back. Left arm goes down, right arm goes up, give yourself a little stretch over to the left. Coming back, both arms up, nice long stretch. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. So again, we're going to step back into down dog. Taking a moment, making a decision. Are you coming forward into a plank? Are you going to modify your plank in some way with one leg up or both knees down? We're holding for 3 breaths. Big inhale. Exhale, lower down. Your choice of back bend on your inhale. And then taking ourselves back to down dog. Right, so that right leg is going to come up, hook over, sink into the left heel a bit, make some little circles. Oh, bring that guy back down. Left foot comes up. Give the right heel a bit of a sink, make some little circles. And then we're going to step that left foot forward, shift the weight, bring your right foot so that you can come up to warrior 2, and then make any adjustments that you need to make to hold yourself nice and steady. Oops, sorry, buddy. Come on back to reverse and over to your side angle pose. One more. And then again, we'll come to the side angle and give ourselves a little bit of room here. One more breath. And then we're going to turn this into a triangle. Maybe my arm goes up, or maybe I bind that arm. Taking a big breath. All right, so we're going to take this half moon balance. So again, maybe you've got something to put your hand on, maybe not. Extending out. Just a few more breaths if we can do it. Lift through that sideways, nice big breath. Okay, we're going to bring this knee in and put that foot down. Come up halfway. Exhale, bend your knees, fold. And then come all the way to standing. Give it a nice big stretch. Maybe a little jiggle. And then find your mountain pose. Oh, I like the way that one makes my hip feel. All right. So once again in that mountain pose, just noticing if any changes have been made, the body feels any different. Now you can choose your own adventure a little bit with this one. So we're going to do a balancing pose. I'm going to do a tree, but you could do a dancer or an eagle or any variation that you would like. You want to get fancy, you can do a bird of paradise. Just find myself kind of weaving in amongst all my plants here. The tree feels really nice. Like I'm one of them. You can do whichever pose you like. So So we're standing on the right leg if possible. You might get a little wobbly, in which case catch yourself, and then come back to the balance when you get a chance. Take it 2 more breaths as best we can. Keep knocking myself over. All right, so then we're gonna pick up this left leg and we're gonna step it back, or let go of it and step it back so that we catch ourselves in a high lunge. All right, so I'm aiming my hips forward. Front knee is bent. I'm gonna bend this back knee, and then I'm gonna come back to straight. Now, I don't need to bend mine very much for me to feel that in my quads. You might be able to go almost to the floor. So it's just a matter of what you feel. So bending that back knee and straightening it out. And then one more time, we're gonna bend it, and then we're gonna fold forward. And you might have to pick that leg up and bring it forward. So if you need some extra hand for the floor, go for it. Because we're gonna straighten out both legs. Now, I like a little bit of air under that heel, so I've got room to really stretch my calf muscles, but you might want a little bit less of that, and you might want to bring your foot a little closer in. You might need to keep your front leg a little more bent, because you and your hamstrings will have a disagreement. Do your best, yogis. We're going to bend the leg enough that we can get both hands to the floor and step back into downward dog. And then you can just hold your dog or come forward, lower yourself down, come into your back bend, and then come back to down dog. So take a nice big breath, lift your left leg up behind you, give it a little shake. Step that foot forward, bring your right foot up to meet it, come up halfway, exhale and fold, and then come all the way to standing. Give it a nice big stretch. And then find your mountain pose at the top. Shift all the way into your left leg. Bring your right leg into the tree or the dance or whatever you did last time. Again, it could be kind of a wobbly balance day. I'm having a wobbly balance day today, but it could be nice and steady on your end of the world. But if you fall, just catch yourself and come back. Couple more breaths. And then we're either gonna pick that leg up or let it go and try to step ourselves back into a high lunge. That feels like a reasonable high lunge, hips pointing forward. Now you can have your arms up or hold onto your hips. We're gonna try to bring this right knee towards the ground a bit or a lot. Straighten it back out. Bring it down and straighten it back out. And bring it down. Straighten it back out. We're going to do it one more time. Bringing it down, holding it steady like that, fold forward, and then we're going to try to see, can we get both legs all the way straight as we fold over. And then you might feel a little bit less inclined to have space under your heel here. You might want your foot all the way on the ground. Just make those adjustments. Ooh, it feels good. All right, so we're going to step ourselves back to downward dog. You don't have to stay here long. You can go right to your belly, but if it feels nice to stay a while, you could go ahead and give this downward dog a couple breaths. And then come forward. We're going to land all the way down on the belly. All right. So we're gonna do 5 little cobras. So spread your fingers out, put your hands pretty high up around your shoulder, so that if you drew a little line from the top of your shoulder, you'd probably still have at least a knuckle forward of that. So we're gonna press the legs into the ground, try to really lengthen through the front of the hip, use your back muscles to lift yourself up, spread the palms out and use the hands, the arms, to broaden through your collarbones. And then come on back, slide the hands back a little, press the palms into the floor, press the legs down, lift, draw the collarbones a little wider. Coming back down, pull your hands back about an inch. If you can, press the palms nice and firm into the floor, press your legs into the floor, lift, broaden out the collarbones. Good. Take the hands back again. Maybe they don't totally fit down on the ground just yet. Lift, maybe now they do. Pull the collarbones wider. Good. And then the last pose, we're going to lift the legs here and draw back. Collarbones wide, neck nice and long. Stretch through the feet. Maybe the legs go a little higher, maybe they don't. Take one more breath. And we're going to come on down. Stretch your right arm up and roll onto your right side. So hips are going to stack on top, shoulders are going to stack on top. And then we're going to take this leg through a series of movements. I just want to make sure I'm not going to run into any furniture. So I can adjust. Okay. So we're going to turn the toes apart so the heels are together. This gives me an external rotation at the hip. So this little greater trochanter, this bone right here, will point kind of down and into my hip. So I know I'm rotating at the femur and not just at the ankle, okay? So from here, you could lift the legs to make it a little bit more challenging. Leave that bottom leg on the floor to make a good medium-sized challenge, or you can bring that leg forward a bit to give yourself a little more stability. The hand can go in front for more stability on your hip to help kind of monitor what's going on. It's also a nice kind of in-between place, or you can lift the arm up or even just tuck it in behind your ear. And that makes it challenging to hold your torso steady, okay? So we're gonna take the top leg and bring it up, flex the foot, and come down nice and slow on the way down. Point the toe, come up, flex the foot, almost like you're moving through water, coming down. Okay, pointing the toe to come up, flexing the foot to come down. Trying to hold the side waist nice and steady. So you're lifting up that right side waist. Holding everything nice and steady for 2 more rounds. Beautiful. Now we're going to come to an internal rotation. So we're going to rotate the whole leg so that it points more inward. You can do the same thing with your bottom leg if you're inclined to do it. So this greater trochanter now points up a little bit and away from the edge of the hip. And then we're going to lift that leg and rotate it. We're going to try to keep that internal rotation as we spin the leg. And then go the opposite direction, but try to keep the internal rotation. It's not easy. And then we're going to try to take this internal rotation forward, and maybe you can tap the ground, and then behind, and maybe you tap the ground. I don't quite tap the ground. In order to do that, I have to externally rotate. So I just go as far as I can, forward and back. Forward, try to keep that lifting edge of that femur bone right there. Forward and back, forward and back. Good, 2 more, forward and back. Try to hold your hips steady, forward and back. Beautiful. So we're going to do one more nice kind of outer hip rotator, adductor muscle workout. So we're going to bring the heels in for the clams. So the heels come towards the buttocks, and then we lift the heels. That gives us this internal rotation. We're going to open the knees. That creates external rotation. That makes all these muscles fire up. Now you can do just that and hold it, or you can extend the leg as long as it doesn't bug your knee. This makes it way harder for this to hold you steady. Bring the feet together and then the knees together, okay? And we might feel this little internal rotator muscle there as we finally kind of let this thing go and bringing it back. Just notice the muscles in your hips. You can kind of find the ones that might need extra love from you, a little extra workout. If one gets particularly sore, it might need more of your attention. I'm looking at you, outer glutes. So we got 3 more to go. And 1 more to go. All right, so then we're gonna extend the leg out, and hopefully there's a nice kind of sense of warmth happening right here. If you need to do a little tenderizing, you can do that. Give a little smack. And then we're gonna take this top leg forward in some fashion. So you can leave the leg straight, you can bend the knee, you can do the one I like to do, which is put your foot on the ground. The one thing that is a caveat with this move is that there's a tendency to push the hip backward. So if you're doing something along this line, just be mindful of keeping your hip nicely stacked up. All right, so then we're gonna lift that right leg up, we're gonna lift the right side waist up a bit, and then we'll pulse this leg up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're gonna make circles here. 5, 4, keep lifting that side waist. 2, 1, spin the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back to the center, lift again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring the leg down. We're gonna roll into a twist here. So we're gonna take our shoulder on the left over towards the floor and leave that right leg or left leg over to the right. Oh, now if you need to follow it back or bring both knees under, that's fine too. Give yourself a little stretch over through that left shoulder. Oh, that feels so nice. One more big breath here. And then we're gonna bring the legs back to the center. Oh. Now we're gonna give that left leg a little stretch out and a little shimmy just to release any tension that might still be in that hip or leg. Now, if you don't need the camera or the phone or the computer or whatever to be in the same place, you can just roll over onto your left side to do the other side. Or if you need to, you can do what I'm gonna do, which is kind of spin around so that you're able to see or whatever. Point yourself towards the phone. Okay. So again, I'm gonna get myself nice and stable. I'm gonna take the hips on top, get my shoulders stacked up on top. I'm gonna rotate, externally rotate the leg so that I can feel that greater trochanter, that little edge of the bone, kind of going down toward my glute, disappearing into my hip a little bit. And then we're gonna take the leg straight up and flex the foot and come down a little slower, like you're moving through jello. So the up can be a little smoother and faster, but the down as smooth and slow as you can make it. It's almost like we're resisting gravity. We'll do 3 more. Now we get to this point here where your leg is all the way down, you're going to internally rotate it. And again, we want to feel that little lump of bone kind of start to lift up. And then we're going to try to maintain that internal rotation as we spin the leg through a circle. Hold in through the sides of your waist, nice and firm. And we're going the other direction. Okay, then we're going to take that leg and we're going to try to keep that internal rotation and tap it forward and backward to some degree, okay? Forward, it may not touch down in both places, but as long as we're keeping that internal rotation, we're in good shape. We're trying to make some muscles work out here, y'all. Hopefully it's working. 2 more. Last one. Okay, we're gonna bring the legs together, bring the feet behind us, lift the feet. So again, we've still got that bone sticking straight up, and that, or at an angle up. So we're gonna open the knees, extend the leg if you like, bring them back together and close it up. Hopefully this outer hip is definitely feeling it by now. If not, you are strong. Give yourself a little pat. So we're gonna do 3 more. And the last one. Beautiful. So we're gonna take that leg forward in some fashion. Get your hips nice and steady, lift through the sides of your waist, lift up that left leg, or whichever one's on the bottom for you right now. We're gonna pulse it up for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Making a circle there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Circling the other direction. 1, 2. Keep lifting that side waist. 4, 5. Then hold it steady and pulse it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Lift that sideways. 2, 1. And then put that leg down. And again, we're going to take this twist so you can leave the knee up or cup the other leg up underneath it. Oh, so you can get that right shoulder to go all the way to the floor. Get that nice stretch through your side of your hip and the pec. You can wrap the legs around each other if that's better for you. All right, beautiful souls. It's time for Shavasana, which is the most important pose for letting our nervous system relax. But if you have to bolt, that's cool. Just leave a note that you were here so I can count everybody. And then when you're ready, you're gonna roll to the center. We're gonna extend that right leg, give it a little shimmy. If you still have your blanket handy, you can put that under your legs. Extend your left leg out. And then just let your whole body relax. Really just a pose about letting all the muscle go so that we can pay attention to the body using the nerves that are also the same nerves that are responsible for helping us learn to relax. So if we can allow ourselves to stay for a bit and just notice kind of progressively relaxing muscle. Notice any signals that are sent back from your body to your mind about how things feel. Notice the breath. These are all things that help us relax the whole nervous system, which I feel like probably has taken a beating at the last 6 months. moving, yogis. Just notice your breath again. And see if you can feel the breath all the way to the tips of your fingers and the tips of your toes. Breath. Let go with a big deep sigh. So start with just a little movement of your fingers and toes and spread them away from each other and then wiggle them. And then spread them away from each other and wiggle them. We're going to do that one more time. Spread them away from each other. Oh, and then give the wrist and ankles a little movement. Other way. I think give yourself a really big stretch from fingertips to toe tips, maybe a little banana in each direction. Don't forget to bring your knees in and give your favorite yogi a hug. It's always good to hug your favorite yogi every day. Oh, and then roll or rock yourself up. I just realized I forgot to put a boat pose into today's class, even though I meant to. So if you need a boat pose, do that now. And then we'll take a big old breath together. Nice big inhale. Big deep sigh. Namaste, yogis.